2017, 2018. In 2019, Mark Zuckerberg starts giving public speeches that he thought censorship on Facebook was going too far. But then he got hit with a $60 billion advertiser boycott. That is, Facebook lost $60 billion in market cap in 48 hours from this boycott. So then he folded like a lawn chair and gave them everything they wanted. That was 5 years before his letter just weeks ago to Chairman Jordan that he regretted folding to government pressure. That's how long he had misgivings about this. That's a formal U.S. government program dedicated to killing news websites, killing their advertiser revenue. And it's all there in black and white that you have the U.S. government contorting the private sector flow of dollars between independent arm's-length parties, news websites and tech platforms, and advertisers. And by the way, all these advertisers are hugely dependent on U.S. government contracts. Elon fired 85% of the company. How is it still working just as well, in fact, even better than it worked? Any major company fire 85% of its workforce and actually do better than it was doing before, let alone not suffer any setbacks or hiccups? Well, the answer is because so much of the ranks of Twitter 1.0 were all of these back channels, all of these trust and safety filter mechanisms, all these different touch points to all these different stakeholder interests for influencing the algorithm. Turns out, if you're just a free speech company, you don't need them. But the problem is, and in their own words, and my foundation, FFO, published a huge report on this a few months ago, where 5 of the major censorship industry insiders were all on a Zoom call, and they complained that when Elon took over X, and then Zuckerberg followed to some extent with some of the changes he made at Facebook and IG, that they lost the relationships it took years for them to develop. They lost the hooks into those companies to make sure that this narrative about mail-in ballots gets censored. This narrative about COVID gets censored.
We heard Elon Musk talk about this the other day with his own son and how he was essentially tricked into this, that unless you do this and sign this piece of paper, you may lose your son to suicide. That's how dark and devious these people are in selling this to parents and to others who may not be directly impacted by this with their own children, but who, I really believe we are by and large a compassionate people. But they're being sold lies about how, in the name of gender-affirming care, they are destroying our kids. It is a huge challenge because it's not just the universities and the doctors and the Democrat activists who are pushing this. They have the power of the mainstream propaganda media doing their work for them as well. You have big tech and social media companies, some of them, not X, but some of them, blocking certain narratives and using their algorithms to advance others. So
Chris Wray, the director of the FBI, and Rod Rosenstein were tasked with helping us at Congress, where I ran the Russiagate investigation, to expose Russiagate. We went to them and said, look, you guys didn't do this. Help us expose it. You know what they did? They launched an investigation against me. They used grand jury subpoenas to get my personal information, my banking information, my emails, my cell phone information, everything else. I didn't find out till 5 years later when Google called me and said, hey, our 5-year notification has lapsed. We can now tell you the DOJ surveilled you. And we had to turn over documents. We exploded that into a federal lawsuit that's still ongoing in the DOJ and FBI.
What? So Google informed you that you're being surveilled 5 years after the investigation started. What more did they tell you?
They're not allowed to say anything. As a former national security prosecutor, I know you don't just go to Google. You go to every provider. You go to all the telecoms. You go to the bank. You go to everybody. But these two guys who were running the FBI and DOJ sat in a room with the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee and lied to our faces. They threatened to investigate us. They actually did it.
I read that Elon Musk said that he would accept a position in your cabinet. Would that have to do with artificial intelligence?
So
if
Elon
you chose
and I
him?
have a great relationship. He's great. He is a totally unusual character. Do you know Elon at all?
I don't.
He's great. And he's smart. We have to cherish our geniuses. We don't have too many of them, right? But he is a brilliant guy. What he really would like to do is get involved in cutting some of the fat. And he does know how to do it. He loves the country. It's just an amazing thing. We had a conversation the other day, the biggest audience that there's ever been. I mean, would you say that's a correct statement?
I would absolutely say
There's
that's
never been
correct.
anything even close. I heard 750 million people. I put him in the cabinet, absolutely, but I don't know how he could do that with all the things he's got going. As the expression goes, consult with the country. Like on AI, there's nobody knows more about it than Elon.
I am curious, who helped you develop this?
Tech team, our CEO is a guy named Ryan Patterson, and he is a ex-Marine DARPA guy, built a company that does most of the communications into denied areas for the USG. Our CTO is actually the guy that developed Pegasus.
Are you shitting me?
Yeah.
He
But
developed Pegasus?
He developed Pegasus. He's an Israeli guy. Fair question. We've done all the third-party penetration testing. Is there backdoors, all the rest? We put out huge bounties at the DEF CON Hacker Conference to say, this is our messenger, this is our operating system. If you can hack it, there's Bitcoin wallets in these places. If you can hack it,
Nobody's hacked it.
still got the Bitcoin. It's a lot more valuable now, too.
Well, that's good to hear.
The average kid in America, by the time they reach the age of 13, has had 72 million data points collected on them by big tech. We did Unplugged as a way for people to still communicate in the world, but not be giving off all their digital data to big tech.
Amazon, from what I understand it, another guy that came on really well versed in the AI stuff said that Amazon, the new Alexas, have sonar capabilities. So they will not only be able to listen to you, but they can pinpoint where you are in your house at any given moment of time.
Why?
Exactly. Why? Why would you need to know where the hell I am in my house?
Wow.
Crazy.
Unless they're giving all that information to the government or something, then why you wouldn't want to know where I'm at in my home unless you're targeting me?
Well, I mean, they're picking up algorithms in your voice, you know, with your emotions and all this
This is
stuff.
getting out of control, man.
It's scary. I've even thought about putting that EMF-proof paint on all the interior of my house. Yeah, they have a paint. You ever go into like a department store and you notice you'd have zero signal?
Yes, yeah.
That's EMF paint. It's
I
about
can
what
open
they're
it
carrying. Yeah, open it up, pull it out.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah,
dude.
yeah. So that's
No.
that's the latest one, the P365 Macro Legion,
Jeez. dude.
all metal.
Oh,
It's got the compensator built in on the front. That's their new optics. They've really upped the game with the optics.
it appears so, doesn't it? Oh my, bro. Oh, that feels so good. This is way different than my 365 that I bought years ago. Oh, that feels so good in my hand.
I
man.
love that weapon. She's a beaut.
Oh my gosh, dude. Dude, this is amazing, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure.
That's my new EDC. Well, there it is. That's
Right on.
the EDC, man. I used to not be a big SIG guy. You know, in battalion, you have Glocks and we had the Beretta. So I've always been a Glockin. I did not like the Beretta until I got my hands on a SIG introduced to me by a Navy SEAL.
Elon Musk motivates the idea that SpaceX should bring people to Mars because we might be the only conscious beings in the entire universe. I don't think so. He didn't really search for others. Scientific knowledge does not fall into our lap. It requires a lot of work. So Elon Musk said, well, I have all these communication satellites and none of them collided with an unidentified flying object, a UFO. Therefore, I haven't seen any evidence for aliens. That's not the right approach. I actually calculated this week that if you were to consider a meter-sized object, it will only collide with one of these 6,000 Starlink satellites in 1,000 years. This is not really a good measure. The intelligent thing to do is actually be curious and humble.